Beneath the dusty plains of Xi'an, in China's Shanxi province, lies one of the most enigmatic and awe-inspiring monuments of ancient civilization. A tomb so vast, so secretive, and so steeped in legend that it has captivated the imaginations of scholars, adventurers, and emperors alike for over 2 millennia. This is the mausoleum of Qin Shi Huang, the first emperor of a unified China, a man who rose from a princely birth to become the architect of an empire that would shape the course of East Asian history for centuries. But his resting place wasn't just a tomb, it was a city of the dead, a shadow empire carved into the earth with the same iron ambition that built the Qin above it. Shrouded in mystery and still largely unexplored, the forbidden tomb of Qin Shi Huang is a testament to the emperor's obsession with immortality, control, and cosmic order. What lies within it? Ancient texts whisper of palaces and towers, of rivers of mercury flowing through underground landscapes, and of deadly traps built to deter robbers and the curious alike. While the famed Terracotta Army, discovered nearby in 1974, has offered a tantalizing glimpse into the scale and grandeur of the burial complex, the central chamber, the emperor's actual tomb, remains sealed, untouched, and forbidden. We journey through the life and legacy of Qin Shi Huang, explore the construction and secrets of his monumental tomb, and engage with the legends and science surrounding what may be the greatest unopened tomb in archaeological history. To understand the tomb, we must first understand the man entombed within it. Born in 259 BCE during the Warring States period, a time of brutal conflict and political fragmentation in ancient China, Yingzheng was the son of King Zhuangxiang of Qin. The Qin state, located in the western fringes of Chinese civilization, was then one of several rival kingdoms vying for supremacy after the collapse of the Zhou dynasty's central authority. From a young age, Yingzheng was surrounded by palace intrigue, military aggression, and the iron discipline of legalist governance, a philosophy that prized authoritarian rule, strict laws, and centralized power. When he ascended the throne of Qin at the age of 13 following his father's death, few could have predicted the seismic impact this teenager would have on history. By the age of 38, Yingzheng had accomplished what generations of kings and warlords had failed to achieve. He had conquered all rival states and unified China for the first time in recorded history. In 221 BCE, he declared himself Qin Shi Huang, meaning First Emperor of Qin, creating a new title that would be adopted by future dynasties for millennia. He did not rule as a mere mortal monarch. Qin Shi Huang styled himself as the Son of Heaven, the divine intermediary between the celestial realm and the human world. He standardized weights and measures, codified laws across the realm, built vast networks of roads and canals, and began the construction of what would later become the Great Wall of China. But perhaps most tellingly, he pursued immortality with a desperation that bordered on mania. Driven by the fear of death and a desire for eternal rule, Qin Shi Huang sent emissaries across the known world in search of elixirs and sages. Alchemists filled his court with potions, some laced with toxic mercury, while magicians and mystics whispered secrets of long life. Yet for all his efforts to escape death, he died in 210 BCE during a tour of the eastern provinces, ironically, likely poisoned by the very mercury concoctions meant to extend his life. But in death, his obsession with permanence took on its most monumental form. It wasn't just death Qin feared, it was being forgotten. Qin Shi Huang's mausoleum is unlike any other burial site in ancient China, or indeed the ancient world. Designed during his reign and constructed over several decades, the tomb complex reportedly employed more than 700,000 laborers, including convicts, conscripts, and artisans. It occupies an area of over 50 square kilometers, making it the largest mausoleum ever built by a Chinese emperor. It is not merely a tomb, it is an underground replication of the imperial capital, complete with palaces, watchtowers, administrative offices, stables, and even entertainers. The historian Sima Qian, writing in his asterisk, Records of the Grand Historian Asterisk some centuries later, offers the earliest detailed account of the tomb's construction. He writes, Artisans were ordered to make crossbows and arrows primed to shoot at intruders. Mercury was used to simulate the 100 rivers, the Yangtze and Yellow rivers, and the Great Sea, and set to flow mechanically. Above, the heavenly constellations were represented. Below, the geographical features of the land. This description has haunted scholars and archaeologists ever since. Could it be that beneath the mound lies an entire miniature cosmos, a microcosm of the empire ruled eternally by a dead emperor? Modern science offers tantalizing clues. Soil samples taken around the central mound have revealed abnormally high levels of mercury, lending credence to Sima Qian's account. Ground-penetrating radar has detected vast underground chambers and structures, but Chinese authorities have opted not to excavate the main tomb chamber, citing concerns over preservation and the technological limitations of current archaeology. What is certain is that Qin Shi Huang's tomb was meant to be eternal, impervious to time, decay, and even curiosity. In 1974, a group of farmers digging a well uncovered fragments of life-sized clay soldiers in battle formation. What they had stumbled upon was one of the most spectacular archaeological discoveries of the 20th century, the Terracotta Army. Located about 1.5 kilometers east of the main burial mound, the Terracotta Army comprises thousands of meticulously crafted warriors, each with distinct facial features, hairstyles, and armor. Accompanying them are chariots, horses, archers, and generals, an entire military force frozen in clay, positioned to protect the emperor in the afterlife. They weren't symbols. Each warrior was sculpted, not copied, modeled with care. Some say they were based on real soldiers. Their arrangement in battle formation reflects Qin military doctrine, and their weaponry, many still sharp after over 2 millennia, demonstrates the empire's advanced metallurgy. But why build such a grand army underground? The answer lies in the ancient Chinese conception of the afterlife. Death was not the end, but a continuation of earthly existence in another realm. Just as emperors required soldiers, ministers, and servants in life, so too did they require them in death. The Terracotta Army was created to ensure the continuation of Qin Shi Huang's power and protection in the next world. Curiously, not all who worked on the complex lived to see its completion. According to some sources, workers who knew the tomb's secrets were buried alive or executed to maintain its sanctity. Whether fact or legend, this story underscores the tomb's association with secrecy, control, and the promise of eternal dominion. Despite decades of research, the actual tomb chamber of Qin Shi Huang has never been opened. The central mound remains untouched, a forbidden zone even in modern times. Why? There are several reasons, both practical and philosophical. First, preservation. The Chinese government and archaeological authorities are keenly aware of the destructive consequences that can follow premature excavation. The Terracotta Warriors, for instance, were originally painted in vivid colors, but upon exposure to air, most of the pigments flaked away within minutes. Until technology advances to the point where such artifacts can be preserved in situ, excavation is deemed too risky. Second, the potential for traps. Ancient texts speak of automatic crossbows and other deadly mechanisms designed to kill tomb robbers. While such descriptions may be exaggerated, the possibility of structural instability and unknown hazards remains a concern. Third, cultural reverence. In Chinese tradition, the tombs of ancestors, especially those of emperors, are sacred. Disturbing them is not just an archaeological act, but a moral and spiritual violation. To this day, the idea of unsealing the tomb of Qin Shi Huang is met with both fascination and trepidation among the Chinese public. And finally, there is the intangible allure of mystery. Sometimes it is the unopened door that captures the imagination most. What remains sealed within the tomb is not just relics and treasure, but the very enigma of an emperor who sought to rule forever. The forbidden tomb of Qin Shi Huang is more than a burial site. It is a philosophical and political statement, a concrete manifestation of one man's desire to conquer time itself. In many ways, he succeeded. Though the Qin dynasty lasted only 15 years, the institutions, legal codes, and centralized bureaucracy established by Qin Shi Huang laid the foundation for 2 millennia of imperial China. His tomb, like his empire, was designed to endure beyond death, to remain inviolate across the ages, and it has. Today, the mausoleum stands as a UNESCO World Heritage Site, a monument to both human ambition and restraint. It reminds us of the power of vision, the cost of empire, and the eternal tension between knowledge and reverence. Will the tomb ever be opened? Perhaps. One day, science may meet ethics in a way that allows us to peer inside without causing harm. Until then, it remains a silent sovereign beneath the earth, ruling an empire of shadows and silence. In contemplating the Forbidden Tomb, we are drawn into the heart of ancient Chinese civilization, its grandeur, its mysticism, its authoritarian splendor. And we are asked to confront one of history's greatest paradoxes, that in seeking immortality, Qin Shi Huang achieved it not through alchemy or magic, but through stone, clay, and the eternal human drive to remember. As the sun sets over Xi'an and the silhouettes of ancient warriors cast long shadows across the lowest soil, one cannot help but feel the presence of the first emperor watching still. His tomb remains sealed not merely by earth and stone, but by the weight of a civilization's fear and its reverence. It is a relic of a time when emperors dreamed of cosmic power, when death was but a threshold to another kingdom, and when monuments were made not for the living, but for eternity. In this sense, Qin Shi Huang did not fail in his quest for immortality. His name endures, his empire echoes, and his tomb, still unopened, remains one of the last great mysteries of the ancient world. And so, across the veil of centuries, the forbidden tomb of China's first emperor continues its silent vigil, unchanged, unbroken, and waiting.